My name is Sofia. I am 31 years old, and I made a big mistake. When I say big, I don't mean the kind of mistake where you send a text to the wrong person or forget your best friend's birthday. I mean the kind that changes your life. The kind that keeps you awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment again and again. 3 years ago, I had everything I thought I wanted. A stable job at a marketing company, a comfortable apartment in the city, and a man who loved me deeply. His name was Daniel. He wasn't perfect, but he was kind, steady, loyal. The kind of man who remembered how I liked my coffee and always made sure I got home safely. But I was restless. At 28, I felt like my life was moving too slowly. Every day felt the same: wake up, work, dinner, sleep. Daniel wanted to get married. He talked about buying a house, about having children someday. Whenever he spoke about our future, I smiled, but inside, something felt tight. I wasn't sure if I was ready, or maybe I was just afraid. Then Alex walked into my life. Alex was everything Daniel was not: confident, mysterious, exciting. He joined our company as a new project consultant, and from the first meeting, I felt something shift. He spoke about traveling the world, starting businesses, taking risks. He laughed loudly. He didn't plan too far ahead. He lived in the moment, and I was drawn to that energy like a moth to a flame. At first, it was harmless. Just conversations during lunch breaks. A few jokes. Some shared looks. But slowly, it became more. Late-night messages. Private coffees. Secrets. I told myself I deserved to feel alive. I told myself Daniel would never understand the dreams I had inside me. One night, after a company party, Alex kissed me. I didn't stop him. That was the beginning of my big mistake. For weeks, I lived two lives. At home, I was Daniel's loving girlfriend. At work, I was falling for someone else. The guilt was heavy, but the excitement was stronger. I felt desired, seen, powerful, until the day Daniel found out. He didn't scream. He didn't throw things. He just looked at me with a kind of pain I had never seen before. "Why?" he asked quietly. And I didn't have a good answer. I tried to explain that I felt lost, that I needed something different, that I wasn't ready for the life he wanted. But the truth was simpler and uglier. I was selfish. I wanted security and excitement at the same time. Daniel left that night with a small suitcase. He never came back. 2 weeks later, I officially started a relationship with Alex. I thought I had chosen passion over comfort, adventure over routine, freedom over responsibility. At first, it felt incredible. We traveled on weekends. We stayed out late. We talked about starting our own company. He made me feel fearless. But slowly, I began to notice things I had ignored before. Alex didn't just live in the moment, he avoided commitment. He changed jobs often. He borrowed money carelessly. He hated serious conversations. When I tried to talk about the future, he laughed. "Why plan so much?" he would say. "Just enjoy today." Enjoying today was easy at 28. At 31, it feels different. After a year together, I realized I was the only one building anything. I paid most of the rent. I managed the bills. I adjusted my schedule for him. And whenever things became difficult, he disappeared emotionally. One evening, after I had a stressful day at work, I came home and found him packing. "I got an opportunity in another city," he said casually. "It's a great chance. I'm leaving next week." I stared at him, waiting for the rest of the sentence, waiting for him to say, "Come with me."
He didn't.
"What about us?" I asked. He shrugged. "We'll see." That was the moment I understood everything. I had left a man who was ready to build a life with me for a man who wasn't ready to build anything at all. Alex left.
Just like that.
No big fight. No dramatic goodbye. Just a taxi, a suitcase, and silence. Now I am 31 years old. I live alone in a smaller apartment. Daniel is married. I saw the photos online. He looks happy. Truly happy. His wife is smiling beside him, and they just had a baby girl. When I saw that picture, something inside my chest broke. Not because I want him back, but because I finally understand what I threw away. My mistake wasn't choosing Alex. My mistake was not understanding myself. I was afraid of commitment, so I blamed Daniel for being boring. I was afraid of growing up, so I called it wanting adventure. I was afraid of responsibility, so I named it freedom. The truth is, I didn't communicate my fears. I didn't give my relationship a chance to grow with me. I escaped instead of facing my emotions. Now I'm learning. I go to therapy. I ask myself hard questions. I try to understand why I needed constant excitement to feel valuable. I'm building my career again, slowly but confidently. I'm learning that stability is not the enemy of passion, and that real love isn't always fireworks. Sometimes it's quiet, steady light. Do I regret my mistake?
Yes.
But I also know something important now. Mistakes can be painful teachers. If I hadn't made that choice, I might still be confused, still restless, still blaming someone else for my unhappiness. Instead, I am alone but aware. And maybe that's the beginning of something better. My name is Sofia. I am 31 years old. And I made a big mistake. But I am finally ready to grow from it. 6 months after Alex left, I thought the hardest part was over. I was wrong. The silence is what gets you, not the drama, not the heartbreak, the quiet, the empty apartment, the evenings with no one to talk to, the way your phone stops lighting up. At first, I tried to fill the silence with noise. I went out more. I said yes to every invitation. Dinners, parties, weekend trips with colleagues. I told everyone I was doing great. I wasn't. One night, after coming home from a loud rooftop party, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror. My makeup was still perfect. My dress was beautiful. My smile, just hours before, had fooled everyone. But my eyes looked tired. "What are you running from?" I whispered to myself. That question followed me for weeks. I started therapy not because I was brave, but because I was exhausted. Exhausted from pretending I was strong. Exhausted from blaming Alex. Exhausted from secretly comparing every man I met to Daniel. In one session, my therapist asked me something simple. Why did you feel you needed someone else to feel alive? I didn't answer right away. I didn't have one. But slowly, memories began to surface. Growing up, I was always the good girl. The responsible one. The one who followed rules. The one who made safe choices. I studied what my parents wanted. I dated someone stable. I built a safe life. And somewhere deep inside me, I felt like I had never chosen anything purely for myself. When Alex appeared, he felt like rebellion, like proof that I wasn't boring, that I could be spontaneous,
wild, desired.
But rebellion without direction is just chaos. And chaos doesn't build a future. One rainy afternoon, I did something I had avoided for 3 years. I wrote Daniel a message. not to ask for him back, not to disturb his marriage, just to apologize properly. Honestly, I didn't expect a reply, but he responded the next day. "Thank you for saying that. I hope you're doing well, Sofia." That was it. No anger, no bitterness, just closure. And surprisingly, I felt lighter. For the first time, I stopped romanticizing the past. Daniel wasn't perfect. I wasn't evil. Alex wasn't a villain. We were just people at different stages of emotional maturity. And I had a lot of growing to do. So I started choosing differently. I stopped dating for a while. Not because I was afraid, but because I wanted to know who I was without anyone beside me. I took a solo trip to the mountains. No dramatic romance. No selfies to prove anything. Just me, hiking alone, breathing cold air, realizing I could enjoy my own company. I enrolled in a business course I had always been curious about, but was too afraid to try. I began pitching my own marketing ideas at work instead of playing safe. I even said no when something didn't align with me, without apologizing for it. Slowly, something changed. I wasn't chasing excitement anymore. I was building confidence. One evening, almost a year after Alex left, I met someone new. His name was Mateo. We met at a bookstore, cliché, I know. He reached for the same novel I was holding. We laughed. We talked. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel a rush of adrenaline. I felt calm. He wasn't flashy. He didn't try to impress me with big dreams or dramatic promises. He listened. He asked questions. He spoke about his life with honesty. And this time I didn't rush. I told him I was learning about myself. I told him I had made mistakes. I told him I needed something real, even if it moved slowly. And he said, "Slow is good." That sentence felt revolutionary. Now, at 32, my life doesn't look like the fantasy I once imagined. It's not dramatic. It's not wild. It's not chaotic. It's intentional. I've learned that love is not about choosing between excitement and stability. It's about choosing someone who respects your growth and being brave enough to grow yourself. My big mistake didn't ruin my life. It woke me up. It forced me to confront my fears, to take responsibility, to stop blaming others for the emptiness I felt inside. If you asked me today whether I regret it, I would still say yes. But I would also say this: that mistake shaped the woman I am becoming. And this time, I'm not running. My name is Sofia. I am 32 years old now, and I made a big mistake. But I also made a choice to learn from it. And that changed everything. By the time I turned 33, I understood something that would have sounded boring to my younger self. Peace is addictive. Not the loud, exciting kind of happiness. The quiet kind. The kind that lets you sleep at night. Mateo and I had been together for almost a year. Slowly, carefully, intentionally. There were no dramatic declarations. No sudden moves. Just consistency. He showed up. And I learned how to show up too. But growth doesn't erase fear. It just teaches you how to face it. One evening, we were cooking dinner at my apartment. Nothing special. Pasta, soft music playing in the background. Mateo was chopping vegetables, and I was stirring the sauce. He looked at me casually and said, "Have you ever thought about what you want your life to look like in 5 years?" 3 years ago, that question would have made me panic. This time, I paused. Not because I was scared, but because I wanted to answer honestly. "Yes," I said slowly. "I want stability. I want partnership. I want a home that feels safe. And I want love that doesn't feel like a competition. He nodded. No jokes. No teasing. Just understanding. And kids, he asked gently. There it was. The word that once felt like a trap. I felt the old version of myself trying to rise up, the restless one, the one who feared being stuck. But instead of running from the feeling, I examined it. It wasn't fear of children. It was fear of losing myself. I think someday, I said, but only if I don't disappear in the process. Mateo walked over, wiped his hands on a towel, and looked at me in a way that felt steady and grounding. You won't disappear, he said. Not with the right person. And for the first time, I believed that could be true. A few months later, something unexpected happened.
Daniel called me.
I almost didn't answer, but I did. His voice sounded older.
Softer.
We didn't talk about the past in detail.
We didn't need to.
He told me he was moving abroad with his family for a new job opportunity. Before leaving, he said he wanted to clear the air completely. I don't hate you, Sofia, he said. I was hurt, but I learned from it too. That surprised me. Learned what? I asked. That love can't survive if someone feels unsure. I should have asked more questions. I should have listened better. We both sat in silence for a moment. That was the day I truly forgave myself. Not because Daniel absolved me, but because I saw that mistakes are rarely one-sided. They are usually the result of two people not understanding themselves yet. After the call ended, I didn't cry. I smiled, because that chapter was finally completely closed. Life kept moving. At work, I was promoted to senior marketing strategist. The woman who once chased excitement now built strategies patiently, confidently. I started mentoring younger employees, especially the ones who reminded me of myself at 28. Ambitious, restless, afraid to admit uncertainty. One day, a 25-year-old intern asked me, "How do you know if you're making the right choice in love?" I almost laughed. You don't, I told her honestly. You just choose someone who allows you to be honest about your fears. And I meant it. On my 34th birthday, Mateo did something simple but powerful. He didn't throw a huge party. He didn't make a dramatic speech. He gave me a small notebook. On the first page, he had written, "For the woman who stopped running." That hit me harder than any grand romantic gesture ever could, because it was true. I had stopped running from commitment, from responsibility, from myself. Later that year, we moved into a new apartment together. Not because I felt pressured. Not because I was afraid of losing him, but because I wanted to build something consciously. And one quiet Sunday morning, as sunlight filled our living room, I realized something beautiful. The big mistake that once felt like the end of my story was actually the beginning of my real adulthood. If I hadn't lost Daniel, I wouldn't have confronted my fears. If Alex hadn't left, I might never have learned the difference between excitement and instability. If I hadn't been alone, I wouldn't have discovered who I was without a relationship defining me. Mistakes don't just break us. They reveal us. My name is Sofia. I am 34 years old. I made a big mistake once, but I also made a bigger decision.
To grow.
And this time, whatever future comes, I won't run from it.